Welcome to part 2 of ex2 Pirates database. And what we did last time is we just put a unique ID number in, and we're just going to take a look at that, and then we're going to start doing some queries. Starting with number 1, it did it the way the original table came in. So the way they weren't in alphabetical order, it just put it that way. I think it did it by games. It looks like it listed it by games in that order. So it now has an ID there. So now it looks like our other database. It has an ID in there. And what we're going to do next is we'll just do some queries. Just keep in mind that there's 43 here. And one thing I'll do first, we haven't done this yet, but I'm going to just order this by games. And if I click on the G, it does its own little query. And you can even see the query here. It says select from players, order by players, and it says games, the G for games, and it says ascending. So ascending is the least. What we're going to do is let's get rid of the people who are like in 10 or less games. We could have done a query to go and find them, but here they are. Just anybody with 10 or less games. I'm just going to check these and get rid of them just to shorten our list. And I'll just check all these. You don't have to delete these one at a time. You could go down here and just hit the delete button. So you could check the ones you want and then hit delete. And then usually it'll ask you to double check. It says, do you really want to execute the following query? And I'll hit yes. And now we have 33 on our roster. So we just cut 10 players from our roster. So we just got rid of some extra ones there, just so that you know how to do that. And that way when you submit your database to me, I'll know that you did that. So we got rid of the 10 least amount of games. And some queries we could do here. We could find who the top hitters are. I could go into SQL. Let me change this a second, and I'm just going to change this. Like, since I'm in Chrome now, it's using this new courier. And I'm just going to go into my settings in Chrome. So if you ever want to do this, you could go into your settings. Looks like I have to go into advanced settings. And they have font size. They have a thing called customize fonts. This is in Chrome. And they have fixed width font. That's kind of a monospace font. You might also see it called monospace. And you can see it's a really thin font. I'm going to change that. There's Gonzalez. I think it was that. And I'm going to hit done. Okay, so I have my Gonzalez back here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just start here and I'll select all from players, and that's what's coming up first. And again, if players isn't showing there, that's the table. You could just type a P and players should come up, and there it is. So I'll select all from players and I'll use where, and I'll select where so it puts it on all caps. Remember, that's the kind of the limiter. That's the filter or the condition. So we're going to say where BA, and I'm going to go down and I'll look for BA, and I could click on it here. That's batting average, and I'll put a space here, and I'll say where BA is greater than or equal to 300. Now, just so you know, in a batting average, there's a dot before 300. It's actually a percentage. It's actually like 30% would be 300. But there's a dot before there, so you have to put that. And I'm going to put a semicolon after that, and it's greater than or equal to 300. And I could even put 299, so if there's anybody who's exactly at 300, they'll be included in that list. And I'll hit go. And I come up with only 5, which isn't really good because 2 of these guys are pitchers, and there's only 2 hitters here, Bill Madlock and Lee Lacy, who are batting average. And notice it says 0.319, 0.3112. We can actually take out the 0, except there's one guy that has an 1,000 batting average. That means he's 1 from 1. And because of that, you can't remove the leading 0 on that, because it has to keep it that many digits. But anyway, it still used the same value. So there's one guy that batted 319, another guy that batted 312, and then a couple others, and they were just pitchers and stuff. So not many people hitting on this 1982 Pirates team. Only 5 over 300. And let's check like home run hitters. I'll do another SQL. And when you go here, remember to click the Get Auto Saved Query. And it comes up at the last time. So this time what I'm going to do is I'll look for home runs. So I could just get rid of this. And since I'm doing it all from players, and backspace, I'll hit a space, very big space there. And I'll double click on home runs, and then I'll say, maybe I'll do greater than or equal to 20. Greater than or equal to 20 as far as home runs. And that's just going to be a number of home runs. So I'll hit go. I'll scroll down here and I'll hit go. and I'll see how many players had 20 or more home runs. And there's only one, which isn't good. And this is back in '82. They didn't hit as many home runs as they do now. He was the leading home run hitter on the team. And, now you have guys who hit 50, 40, 50, 60 all the time. And maybe I'll just adjust that query just a little bit, and maybe I'll choose like 15 or more. So I'll do get auto-saved query, and I'll do greater than or equal to 15. So that just gives me a little more range to look at when I do that. And now there's 3, which still isn't a lot. That's not a lot of home runs. 3 guys with 15 or more home runs. That by today's standards, that's a pretty light hitting team. And I don't think this '82 Pirates team was that bad. It was just, there was a lot more pitching back then, I guess. But anyway, that's what I have. I have 3. So I'm going to ask you a couple queries. I'll ask you to do a couple queries, not exactly the same ones, but very similar. So you're just going to go into SQL. You're gonna get autosave query if you can, and you could use these things. And remember, you have to be in your table to do this, to have this thing, to have the columns show up. So I might ask you about something else, who played in how many games or something like that. So or how many guys' last name begins with T or something. I don't know. I'll ask you something and you'll give me information, just so it's different than the queries I'm doing right now. But you should get in the habit of doing these queries. Remember, it's select all from the table that you're in. We only have one table, and just where is the condition? Where is just what you're looking for out of the column. So you're kind of pulling information out of there. So that's all you got to do right now. So after you do that, what we're going to do is we're going to export this. So I'm going to take a break because there's a couple steps involved here, but what I'm going to do for the next video is just kind of review exporting this file, this SQL file, and then sending it back to me. So you could send it back to me, and then I could take a look at it.